Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Imami Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by IIFL Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participants' lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Percy Panthaki from IIFL Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining this Q2 conference call of Imami Limited. From the management, we have Mr. Mohan Goenka, Director, Mr. Rajesh Sharma, VP Finance, Mr. Vivek Dhir, CEO International Business, Mr. Vinod Rao, President Sales, and Mr. Gulraj Bhatia, President Healthcare Division. Without further ado, I'll hand over to the management. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Percy, and very good afternoon, friends. I welcome you all to this conference call on Imami results for the second quarter and half year ended 30th September 21. I hope all of you and your loved ones are safe and keeping good health. It is heartening to note that the pandemic seems to be on a decline since its commencement more than 18 months back, with the country crossing 1 billion vaccination. The trend shows that the country is slowly coming back to its normal life cycle, although it is still quite early to predict the return to normalcy. Despite this development, we can easily take us back to complacency. We need to be guard and not take the decline in COVID infections lightly. It is of utmost importance that we and all our stakeholders, including our employees, channel partners, suppliers, etc., and their families, continue to stay safe and healthy in the future. With an overall reduction in COVID positive cases, we witnessed an improvement in demand during the quarter as mobility levels increased. While discretionary categories also showed revival, demand trends remained steady for most of our brands despite a high base in previous year. However, the relevance of immunity has gone down due to accelerated vaccine and lower fear of pandemic, resulting in a slowdown in demand for immunity products. Despite this demand moderation, I am happy to share that we continued our strong profit-led growth in the second quarter, led by a 9% growth in domestic business on a year-on-year basis and 11% on a 2-year CAGR basis. Our domestic volumes, including institutional sales, increased by 6.2% over previous year. Our overall revenues at 789 crores grew by 7% over Q2 FY21 and 9% CAGR on a 2-year basis. In the domestic business, BoroPlus grew by 29%, male grooming range grew by 15%, Kesh King grew by 15%, and 7 oils in 1 grew by 50%. Notwithstanding a large base of previous year, pain management range grew by 6%. That is a 2-year CAGR of 18%, and healthcare range grew by 5%, which translate into a 2-year CAGR of 26%. This growth in pain management healthcare range was achieved despite subdued market sentiments towards immunity products in view of decrease in COVID cases and rise in vaccination. Navratna declined by 9% during the quarter. However, it grew by 2% on a 2-year CAGR basis. During the quarter, we launched TV and print campaigns roping in Bollywood celebrity Sonu Sood. We also brought on board the world-renowned wrestler Khali for Jandu Ultra Power Balm. Additionally, BoroPlus launched a variant targeting women between 25 and 35 years of age with a light and non-sticky BoroPlus soft Ayurvedic antiseptic cream. We are also cross-pollinating our international brand Creme 21 in the domestic markets through the e-commerce channel. Creme 21 has a good brand equity in several countries, and we believe same can be leveraged to enter premium skincare market in India. During the quarter, modern trade grew by 31% and e-commerce continued its robust run, growing by 2.2 times. In quarter 2 FY22, e-commerce business increased its contribution by 220 basis points to 4.2% of domestic revenues. In the first half of the financial year, our rural presence was increased in additional to 5,200 towns through the Project Khoj. Our revenues through standalone modern trade outlets have also grown by 51% during the same period. Standalone modern trade coverage has increased to 37 cities, with our direct coverage increasing by more than 550 outlets. We have also activated 22,000 additional outlets for our healthcare products by focusing on Ayurvedic bhandars and chemist outlets. Our international business witnessed a decline of 6% during the quarter. However, international revenues grew by 2% on a 2-year CAGR basis. While CIS grew by 35%, MENA and SAARC markets declined due to the impact of the second wave of COVID-19, as well as high base of personal hygiene sales in the previous year. However, going forward, we expect our international business to recover the growth momentum. Coming to profitability, we posted a strong profitable growth during the quarter, despite continuing input cost pressure and a high base of previous year. Gross margin at 68.8% contracted by 150 basis points over previous year. However, EBITDA at 277 crores grew by 8% and EBITDA margins at 35.1% also expanded by 10 basis points. PAT at rupees 185 crores grew by 56% with PAT margins of 23.5%, expanding by 740 basis points. Cash profit at 269 crores also grew by 15% and cash profit margins at 34.1%, expanded by 240 basis points. If we compare our financial performance over last year, that is Q2 of FY20, gross margins were lower by 90 basis points. EBITDA grew by 44% and EBITDA margins also expanded by 590 basis points. PAT grew by 93% and PAT margins also expanded by 900 basis points, while cash profit grew by 51% and cash profit margins expanded by 720 basis points. I am also pleased to inform that the Board of Directors have declared an interim dividend of 400%, that is rupees 4 per share. While the industry is witnessing an all-time high rise in the input costs, we are happy that we have been able to protect our operating margins by way of calibrated price increases and increased operational efficiencies. We will continue to strengthen the brand equity of our core brands, invest in new brands and extensions, leverage new engines of growth to reach critical mass to remain constant in our growth trajectory. We are confident that with our judicious approach towards business, we would be able to continue delivering profitable growth ahead. Today, we have Mr. Vivek Dheer, CEO of our international business, Mr. Vinod Rao, President Sales, and Mr. Gulraj Bhatia, President Healthcare Division with us. They would be very happy to answer your queries on the performance. With this brief, I now open the floor for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, please press star followed by one on your touchtone phone now. We have a first question from the line of Abneesh Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. My first question is on the domestic volume growth. You have mentioned this includes institutional business. So if you could tell us, is this CSD and which products have done well here, and what would be the volume growth X of the institutional business?
So, Avnish, if we exclude the CSD, our volume growth is about 5.5% in the domestic business.
And institutional is essentially canteen only, CSD only, right?
Yeah, CSD and CPC, yes.
Okay. Second is in terms of your rural sales. So when Nielsen data is seen last 2 months, they seem to suggest there is a huge slowdown in rural. So in terms of outlook, what's your sense on rural, especially your own cooling hair oil, which is a bit more indexed to the rural, that has also seen slightly tough growth this time. Yes, I understand the seasonal factor, high rain, low rain and all that. But are you worried on the rural outlook?
So, Avnish, I would not shy away by saying that yes, over the last 3-4 weeks, there has been a slight slowdown in the rural areas, and this is across the board. So, but we will have to wait and watch because we are entering into the peak winter season, and at this point of time, we load our winter products. If winter goes well, then we have seen it in the past also, despite of poor offtake, if winter is good, then we see demand for BoroPlus and other products. But yes, there is a slight slowdown in the market.
What will you attribute that to? Because rainfall is good, MSP, direct benefit, whatever you name, everything is happening. So is it essentially the migrant labor is coming back, or is it floods? What is the main reason for the slowdown?
So again, Avnish, honestly, I would not be very specific on why this sudden slowdown in the last few weeks. One of the only reasons what I see is the migrant laborers really coming back to work. That could be the only reason. But we would have to still wait and watch whether the market bounces back quickly.
Sure. And last question, essentially, Kesh King continues to do well 1 year, 2 year, both. So if you could tell us what's working here and the split between shampoo and hair oil.
So you are right, Avnish, and if you remember, we were very confident that Kesh King would definitely do well. We are taking shares from our competitors quarter-on-quarter basis. Market is also expanding. We are trying to get on new consumers through our new campaign. We did a campaign with Shilpa Shetty also, and we have been very, very aggressive in all our markets, including South India. So still there is a lot of headroom to grow as far as Kesh King is concerned, and we are bang on our strategy, I would say.
And market share will be from, gains will be from the large unlisted Ayurvedic player?
So, no, over the last few quarters, we have seen the competitive intensity by Patanjali and Indulekha has also come down. We have been more aggressive. So, we are taking shares from these players also.
Okay. That's very helpful. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Avnish.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Tejas Shah from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. My first question pertains to healthcare.
Your voice is not clear, Tejas. Sorry, your voice is cracking.
Is this better?
Yeah, slightly better. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry for this. No, so last 2 quarters, we were seeing good traction in healthcare range, obviously driven by immunity demand as well. But we had launched a lot of products, and there was a very focused interventions being made in terms of marketing and communication. So how should we see this deceleration? And then if you can give some color on non-immunity based product growth on YOY basis.
Surely. So, Gulraj is with us, who looks after the healthcare division. I would ask Gulraj to answer this, please.
Yes. So basically, if you look at the healthcare range, it comprises of, in a sense, 2-3 segments. One is the immunity range, the other is the OTC products besides the immunity products, and then we have the Ayurvedic medical products, the Medico division, which comprises of generics and ethicals. So we've seen a slowdown, obviously, compared to last year in the health supplements range, such as Chyawanprash, to some extent honey, Kesari Jeevan, etc., because of the last year's corona peak pandemic consumption is very high. And this year it's come down quite significantly. And that's true for the entire market also. But we've seen other brands like Pancharishta, like Nityam doing reasonably well. And even our Medico division, which has basically a separate sales team going to doctors, Ayurvedic doctors, etc., has done reasonably well. So we've done pretty well in the other OTC products besides immunity and in the Medico division.
Sure. So do you see acceleration happening over here as we go along in the rest of the year, or there are some still high base of immunity products which will drag down the overall performance?
We do foresee the other brands doing well in the current quarter, and even the Ayurvedic products division doing well in the current quarter. Even the Ayurvedic products or the Medico division also had some immunity-based products which did well, but we have tried to make that up through focus on other categories. But we will still see pressure on brands like Kesari Jeevan, Chyawanprash, honey, etc. in the current quarter also, because as you know, the peak sales happened between the months of November to January on the Chyawanprash range, etc. So there was the added benefit we had got last year of higher consumer offtakes and consumer penetration last year in the category. But we still believe that we have headroom for growth in terms of the market shares, because we are a relatively smaller market share player. So we are focusing on seeing how do we gain our market share in some of the immunity products like Chyawanprash.
Sure, this is very helpful. Second question pertains to A&P spend.
Just to give you some numbers, like if you exclude the immunity, in healthcare we have almost grown at 8.6%. And if you include the Chyawanprash and immunity, is about 4.5%. But on a 2-year CAGR basis, the total growth has been at 26%.
Okay, this helps.
It is basically the immunity, because of the high base of last year, the numbers have slightly been dragged down.
Perfect. This explains. Second question pertains to A&P spend. There has been a deceleration, and if I tie up with your opening remarks that we have been aggressive on launches and in marketplace also we are competing aggressively, how should we see A&P spend going forward, at least for this year and next year?
So A&P spend for this year and a percentage has been at 13.4% compared to 14.7% the last year. So, but we, as we have always maintained our A&P for the year, see what had happened on A&P for the first half. If you would see, we have spent because we could not spend in the first quarter because of the pandemic. But we have really, spent quite significantly in the second quarter. But we have taken some budgets from our first half and brought it to second half, looking at the situation of pandemic. That is one of the reasons why we think our second half A&P would be slightly more compared to our last year numbers. It would of course depend on the pandemic situation, but as of now it looks like we would spend aggressively in the second half compared to our last year second half.
So annual guidance on that will remain around?
Annual guidance would remain at about 16.5%.
Okay. And last one, Mohanji, we are sitting on now a very good, healthy cash surplus of 500 odd crores. So how do we plan to utilize the same going forward? Any inorganic growth plan? We are seeing a lot of activity in D2C space nowadays.
So, as you know, Tejas, we have already invested in few companies like the Man Company and Brillair, and some other investments also we have done in startups. And so if those are the opportunities, then we are constantly for a lookout. And of course, as right now we are accumulating the cash. If there is any opportunity, we would evaluate. But right now we don't have plans for that. A big ticket acquisition.
Sure. That's all from my side, and Diwali greetings to the whole team, sir. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Arnab Mitra from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Mohanji. My question actually kind of a follow-up to the previous question on healthcare and balm, because both of these categories had seen a big surge in demand last year, till the third quarter at least. So based on, the current run rate of trends, because I'm assuming, all the COVID mindset is kind of out right already, are you kind of confident that you would be able to grow even if it's a low growth on the high kind of base that you have in the second half also for these products? Or are you seeing a sequential deceleration where every month it's getting tougher to kind of match up with the last year's kind of consumption levels that were there?
So Arnab, let's take this question in two parts. One is the balm and excluding the balms. So we are see what we are seeing, because balms had really accelerated during the COVID period. Okay, and what we have targeted this year is that we are trying to maintain our numbers of last year, because on a 2-year CAGR basis, balms would almost will be at about 15-16%, even if we don't grow in the second half. So right now we are trying to protect our bases of last year. That's the first challenge in balms, because the numbers are extremely high of last year. As far as the healthcare division is concerned, Gulraj can correct me, and what we are definitely expecting is a double-digit growth despite of high base in immunity. So, because we are seeing good offtakes of Pancharist and some of our other medico marketing products and our Zandu e-commerce division. So, by and large, I think it would be a single-digit growth for if you include the pain balms for healthcare division.
Right, and on pain balms, just a follow-up. So, based on the trend of the consumer offtake that you're seeing, do you feel confident that you will be able to hold that base, or it is a challenging situation and you would require intervention like market share gain or distribution or other kind of things to even kind of meet that flattish second half numbers?
As of now, the demand in the month of October has been quite robust, and we have been able to hold on our numbers of last year. So at this point of time, I won't say that, and if you compare it to last year, we have almost grown at almost 50%. So we are holding the ground quite strongly, and with the campaigns of Sonu Sood and Khali, I think we are attracting new consumers. And we have also increased our budget significantly in pain portfolio. So overall, I'm not too worried, very honestly, for pain management.
Got it. Got it. That's helpful. And my second question was on BoroPlus. So you have made some effort to, diversify your revenue stream beyond just antiseptic cream. If you could give us some idea of, are there some products where you've seen, continued traction which are showing promise, and the effort to get Vasocare under the BoroPlus range, is it, if you could give us some idea of what is the market share that currently Vasocare has in that petroleum jelly market?
So Arnab, we had launched a complete hygiene range looking at the pandemic in mind. But right now our focus are on two products. One is the aloe vera gel and one is on the soap. These are the two products out of our entire launches which are showing some promise. And we would keep on advertising these products. As far as new ideas for BoroPlus is concerned, we are very, very bullish on the BoroPlus Soft new launch that we have done, because the young consumers are looking for non-sticky products, and BoroPlus has a strong equity as far as antiseptic is concerned. There was a huge need gap which we think we would be able to fulfill. And as far as petroleum jelly is concerned, we are very, very small. We only have about, I think, 3% market share. So bringing it under BoroPlus umbrella, I think it will help both petroleum jelly and also BoroPlus. And we would be able to advertise as a range, and we would be able to focus much more.
Sure, thanks. And just one bookkeeping question for Rajesh. This high other income that you've reported in the quarter, what is it pertaining to?
So, Arnab, we have earned some other income on account of our valuation gains on the startup investments, some of the options which we are holding, and that's the reason for high other income based in the quarter 2.
Okay. Thanks. That's it from my side. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Amnish Agarwal from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Mohanji and Rajesh. I have a couple of questions. My first question is on the, I think a couple of questions have already been answered, but a couple of them are more. So the first being that looking at the current scenario when there is so much of inflation, and 3Q usually is a, you can say, high margin quarter for us. So how are we placed on this inflation front, and what steps are we taking?
Amrish, you are right. There has been a cost pressure over the last few weeks, particularly on the waxes. So we have taken some price increase for our winter portfolio, but definitely we would see some decline in our gross margins in the third quarter. We would still try to balance that out through our advertising and other cost measure initiatives. So on a yearly basis, despite of so much of increase in our input cost, on a yearly basis, we are not expecting more than 80 basis points to 100 basis point fall in our gross margins. That's what it looks like.
Okay. And do you think that this input cost pressure has peaked for you, or you, as we go along, you are week on week witnessing further increase in inputs?
No, for now, I think this is at its peak. I don't see a further, increase from here. And we are also doing a lot of cost reduction measures parallelly because of this input cost pressures.
Okay. And Mohanji, my next question is, as Rajesh said, that this other income gain is on valuation gain on the startup holding. So is it your mark-to-market gain, or is it that we have sold some stake or something?
No, Amish, it is mark-to-market gains.
Okay. So can you quantify how much of the other income increase is due to this mark-to-market gain?
So almost 23, 24 crores is towards this mark-to-market gains.
Okay. Okay. Fine. That's useful. And finally, just on the new launches, you see, last year we had launched a lot of new products. Okay, in the healthcare range, even we had gone in for some hygiene products, home care products. So can you can say identify 3-4 products where you see that there is significant scope to scale up, and where you have been able to create some niche for yourself?
So we answered that, Amrish, that in BoroPlus there are some products which we think are promising. We would keep on focusing on them. Unfortunately, Imasol hasn't done too well, so we would gradually phase that out. And in some products, we are now launching aggressively in BoroPlus Soft is an aggressive launch. In Fair and Handsome, we are trying to launch. We are some new products. We are bringing Creme 21 to India. That should bring an incremental growth. So these are some new initiatives that we are taking now.
Okay, and sir, how much of your, say, top line will be contributed by the products launched in the last 12 months in the current year, if you have got any targets or indication?
It was about 2.5%.
Okay, in the latest quarter.
No, in this quarter?
Yeah.
In this quarter was 2.5%. Yeah.
Okay, in the full year, the same number should be the number.
Yeah, it should be in the range of about 2.5 to 2.75%.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Shantanu Basu from Smiths Limited. Please go ahead.
Right. Most of my questions have been answered. So basically, I just want to know the current situation in Russia, given the COVID impact that they have been facing recently. And in Q2, you reported very good growth in Russia. So what's the impact what's the trend over there beginning October? What do you see over there, and what would be the trend going forward? And on similar lines, how would the other international markets perform? So that's my first question. And the second question is with respect to Imosol. So you just now mentioned that you plan to phase out some of the products. So can you please elaborate which products you plan to phase out? Because I believe the toilet cleaner and the dishwashers are doing well. Others are not. So if you can just update on that, that would be helpful.
Surely, Shantanu. First, I'll ask the Imosol, then I'll ask Vivek to take on the international one. So in Imosol, you are right. So we are only focusing on these two brands and particularly e-commerce. In the GT, we are gradually phasing that out. And for international, Vivek would answer your question.
Sure, sir. So Russia, our presence is largely in pharmacy. So pharmacy usually get lesser impacted due to lockdowns because those are the open outlets, even during lockdowns. And what has happened in the last couple of years when we formed our own company, subsidiary in Russia, so we have taken a direct control into the market. So impact is visible. Whatever growth which we are seeing in the marketplace are due to the structural changes which we have done. We have a better control in the marketplace today, and we have expanded our field force in current year. And in S2, again, we are planning to expand our field force. The impact should be very minimalistic of this lockdowns, and we should continue to grow at a decent pace in Russian market.
And what about other international markets?
Other international markets, again, depending on the geography. In certain geographies like, say, Sri Lanka, we are taking a direct control into the marketplace. We are seeing very good results over there as well. And Middle East, which has given us a little bit of setback in supply chain disruptions in Q2, and we're expanding our local manufacturing in Middle East in coming quarters when the full range and more countries are going to be catered from there. So we may see a little bit of supply disruptions, but long term they are all accretive in both top line as well as bottom line. Similarly, in Bangladesh, again, also we had gone through a little bit of restructuring, which is going to be better for us in long term. So otherwise, I think fundamental business growth is very decent in most geographies, except few places where because of either lockdown, extended lockdowns, or political disturbances like in Myanmar and Afghanistan are troubling us. So we are yet to overcome over those issues. But fundamentally, business is doing well, and we see better future in coming quarters.
Okay. Fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Gaurav Jogani from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a good set of numbers. Sir, in terms of the ad spend, we may see on an absolute basis also your ad spend has gone down from Q1 to Q2, and your guidance being for 16.5% for the full year. So are we looking at very aggressive ad spend going ahead? And also in the light when you said some gross margin pressures would be looked to mitigated by way of reduction in ad spend. So how should one look at it?
So Gaurav, as I said, we have taken some budgets from our first half to second half, particularly for brands which we could not advertise in the first half. So slightly you would see higher at A&P spends in the second half compared to our last year numbers. But we are cognizant of that fact, and we are also cognizant of the fact that input cost pressures are there. We will definitely try to mitigate all these increase in expenditure through reduction in expenditure in other areas. Overall, I'm not seeing much pressure on the margin front. Maybe a max of about 100 basis points here and there. If the winter portfolio does very well because it contributes quite high on our margins, then I'm not too worried on the EBITDA and other margin fronts. So we will take the call once we approach to the market in the fourth quarter. But as of now, we would be aggressive on our A&P spends.
Sure, sir. And so the next question is
in the last 2 years, we could not advertise for Navratna oil, particularly because the peak pandemic was hit during the summer seasons. So we have to be aggressive this year for Navratna oil.
Got it, sir. Clear. So with regards to the distribution expansion initiative, that you had taken especially for the rural side, targeting a few states, how has been the traction there? Where are we on that journey? And what kind of gains we have seen because of that?
Yeah. Gaurav, this is very, very interesting because we know this here, and I'm extremely bullish on our project Khoj and the other initiatives on distribution that we are taking. So I think please hear to Vinod very carefully.
Yeah. Afternoon, everyone. I think this rural, we started off as a pilot in 4 states, and just to test waters in terms of looking at, so we used an approach of a potential-based expansion versus the typical population-based expansion which most companies do. We are thoroughly encouraged with the progress. We've added close to 5,200 towns in a short period of time. We will end the year with more than 8,500, close to 9,000 towns and villages. And we've been encouraged with this. All our matrices, all our action standards are being met. And we are looking at advancing this from a 3-year program to shorten it to actually end up our entire coverage model in 2 years. And this is really, really helping us drive growth for rural as well.
So any color that you can give in terms of the cost of doing this exercise? I mean, vis-a-vis a traditional channel where you go through a wholesaler route, where you're going directly here, what kind of cost differentials do you see, and what kind of return on investments that you would expect going ahead?
Sure. So cost to sales, when you look at diminishing returns and you compare it versus the current van cost to sales. In fact, this additional expansion that we are doing by going to more number of towns, we will be also looking at optimizing the current van route. So if we are typically at a 18% cost to sales in the van kind of markets, the Khoj initiative is currently we are at 22% cost to sales. But that we envisage over the next 2 years, that will also start coming down in the 18-19 cost to sales range. Because we are looking at all the other action standards that in terms of our frequency of coverage, etc., and the optimization will help us consolidate the routes and deliver the right kind of costs.
Sure. So that's very cool. And actually, in the opening remarks, sir, also alluded to some numbers, in terms of the distribution reach. If you can just repeat that again, if you don't mind. I mean, in terms of rural presence, sir did say that 5,200 towns is what we reach. Also, how many direct outlets we reach and what kind of healthcare outlets we reach, if the numbers can be shared?
Right. So, if I just repeat that, in the opening remarks, what Mohanji had said is we've added 5,200 rural towns in this year, and this is still as on date. And what I've added is we will probably end up at 8,500 to 9,000 villages in this year. And in a direct reach sense, so we will maintain our stores In Yeah, at 9.3 lakh, which includes both a direct and rural footprint, and we will add close to, with these additional 8,000 odd towns, we will add close to 45 to 50,000 stores by the end of the year.
So that's very helpful. Thank you for this.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Shirish Pardeshi from Centrum Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mohanji, Rajeshji, and the team. I have a few questions. The first question with the Fair and Handsome. We have completed the relaunch. So tell me initial feedback, the new product, what we have rolled out, what is the response, and has it gone to an entire country, or it's still in the verge of getting implemented?
No, so Shirish, we have launched across India, and the new product and the new campaign has been there for quite some time now. But there is some discretionary pressure on the there is some pressure on the discretionary products, and Fair and Handsome falls into that. But despite of that, we have grown in the products in Fair and Handsome. But we are again aggressively launching our campaign now because the season is approaching now for marriage.
Okay. My second question is on the healthcare. Gulrajji, what contribution comes from the ethical and Ayurvedic other than OTC?
For the healthcare business, ethical contributes to about 25% or so.
And that includes the pure play Ayurvedic, excluding OTC.
The medical part, the doctor's part.
Okay. And could you spend a minute, I think since the time you have taken over, I've been personally seeing that the company is very positive. So where do we stand in terms of the reorganization, in terms of the entire healthcare business, in terms of the geographic expansion, in terms of coverage, in terms of product launches? And what is the learning over last 2 to 3 quarters?
So actually, I think from the Q2 period of last year, we did aggressive launches, as you are aware, Mr. Pardeshi. We had a number of launches both in the immunity segment and some in the non-immunity segment. So the immunity segment products such as the hair juices, tulsi and haldi drops, single herb tablets, squat powders did particularly well, especially till about Q3 last year and in Q1 this year. But then after the pandemic sort of came down, they sort of came to much lower levels. We have also done some launches in both the medical business and OTC business of other categories, which we are doing test marketing in some states, and we hope to gain volumes in the coming quarters. We have also done a reasonably good expansion in smaller towns in terms of eco coverage. So we are targeting our distribution coverage for the OTC business to go up by something like 20% this year, which will be mainly in upcountry markets, which we have been covering probably not to the fullest in terms of the market potential. We are also trying to scale up our e-com business, modern trade business, both through increased listing coverages and also more marketing investments going in modern trade, in online marketplaces, and also on our D2C platform, Zandu Care. So whatever we are seeing as, say, some of the downsides coming in due to the corona immunity products, we are working on making up through increased distribution expansion, increased focus on NPD launches, and gains in market share in some other categories where we have a relatively low market share.
Okay. If I may ask one follow-up on the Mohanji's commentary that healthcare speed at which we have grown last year has come down. But is that the traffic on Zandu Online D2C platform is also seen for slower growth?
We did see a bit of a slowdown in Zandu Care after June, from July onwards. because during the period of probably the last 12 months, products like Chyawanprash, Kesari Jeevan, many of the immunity-based products were doing very, very well. And that's probably in line with what the market trends are also. So if you see Google Trends also, many of these categories have seen a slowdown. So to that extent, it's followed the market curve actually in that sense.
Okay. Okay. Mohanji, my question is on so far in last 6-7 months, how much price increases we have taken and what is the weighted inflation which we are facing at this time?
So Shirish, we have taken roughly about 3.5% price increase.
And what is the inflation we are facing now?
So right now the inflation is slightly,
Yeah. Hi, Shirish. So through the price hikes, we are kind of maintaining our bottom line. So our dollar profits we are kind of maintaining. But since our gross margins are so high, so we are not looking at protecting margins, not taking 3 rupee price hike for every 1 rupee increase in costs.
Okay. Okay. Just last one question, Rajesh, since you are there. What is the amortization now which is left, and if you can spend a minute, how long we will be amortizing now for the acquired brands?
So another 3 quarters. So bulk of the amortization would be over in another 3 quarters at the same rate. So by the end of June 22, we would be done away with our Kesh King intangible assets amortization, and then a small quantum of the other intangible asset Creme 21 which we have would remain.
So for the full year, the tax rate would remain the same range?
Yeah, we can assume 20%, 21% in that range only.
Sure. Sure. Thank you. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Prakash Kapadia from Anived Portfolio Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah. A couple of questions. If I recollect, you were also focusing on, large chemists, which were, I think, 10,000 in number. We were having a focused approach to increase the contribution from, the top 10,000 chemists. So any update on that? Secondly, on Kesh King, shampoos were around 20% of our overall sales. So is there a focused approach to grow that in percentage terms? And lastly, on Zandu Healthcare, historically, Pancharishta and Nityam have been around 70-75% of sales. So, to help us understand better, if you could, dissect the turnover of Pancharishta and Nityam to Zandu last year during COVID times, give us a better picture of, what the contribution of immunity products were. And, directionally, for the Zandu Healthcare division, what are we doing incremental to, grow structurally, because it has one of the best products and it's a very solid brand. So for the next 4 or 5 years, what are we doing to double our sales in Zandu Healthcare division?
So Prakash, first let me answer the Kesh King. Kesh King, in the Kesh King range, the shampoo which was almost 20% contribution about 2 years back, it has reached to 27% now. So definitely the shampoo is growing faster than the oil business. And we have very recently, only in the last 10 days, we have launched the anti-dandruff shampoo in Kesh King. So that would further take away the percentages to, I think, about 32 to 35% in the next 6 to 8 quarters. That is the kind of approach we are taking for Kesh King shampoo.
Right.
As far as the chemist outlets are concerned, let Vinod answer your question, and then I will ask Gulraj to take the FCD question.
Yeah. So the chemist expansion is very much on our radar, and what we are currently doing is we are segmenting the chemist basis, the chemist potential, and the market potential of our participating categories, and that will then give us a Pareto chemist that we need to cover. We are looking. So we've tied up with agencies who like IQVIA, who give us access to chemist stores at a beat level and a city level, and we use concentration curves. And you look at even if you look at the data, around 120 cities contribute to more than 75% of chemist business. And that will be our focus in the top cities, the top chemists, to improve our coverage and improve our quality of presence.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, earlier we've had a very high dependence on the Pancharishta and the Nityam brands, Mr. Prakash.
Yeah.
But I think over the last, say, 1 year, we've tried to grow the saliency and contribution of other brands also, such as Chyawanprash, such as some of our new launches. And we've seen some of the new launches do particularly well, such as products in the respiratory segment, products in the immunity segment, and even in the health juices segment which we launched.
Right.
So we are trying to broad base our portfolio to reduce dependence on a couple of our power brands actually. And to answer your other question on what are we planning to do to sustain the growth at a structural level, we have been adding, as I said, improved coverage by way of increasing our coverage in retail outlets by about 20%, which basically means that we are increasing our outreach not only in the OTC business, but even in the medical business, where we are going to more doctors and more outlets, and thereby reduce our dependence on the wholesale business, the wholesale segment. This particularly helps us not only for the power brands, but even for the NPD launches. That's at one level. At another level, we are working significantly, in a very focused manner with our internal CFT teams, with our R&D teams, to continue to develop products which are differentiated, which have basically a much better consumer connect in terms of the product proposition and the benefit proposition. And we've seen some launches which we've done in the last 12 months, which are paying results in terms of both NPD launches and improvements on our current power brands extension.
Okay.
At the third level, we are continuing to invest on improving the business through new product launches and existing launches on our e-com platforms. And that will be a continued focus area for us, because we do believe that with the Zandu brand name and equity, we can actually increase our portfolio and reach out to the millennials in a much better manner through the e-com marketplaces. So we have taken significantly higher growth in these channels.
Okay.
And Prakashji, just to give you one data, like about 2 years back, Pancharishta and Nityam were almost at about 50% of our healthcare business. And right now, it is at about 35%. So the dependency of, Nityam and Pancharishta has come down significantly.
And the point of, the ethical division, what is, the growth opportunity there? Because, some of the products which you mentioned have gained acceptance and feedback has been very good. We were, earlier also trying to launch certain diabetic products and, ethical based products in certain key markets, and beta testing was going on. So is that going to be a new driver to higher growth?
I think there is an equal opportunity in both the generics and the branded ethicals business. The short-term growth opportunity clearly lies in the generics business, because that's a business which we have been under-leveraging so far because of maybe manpower and our own coverage issues. So in the next maybe 6 to 12 months, we do see higher growth coming in, and we've already seen those growth coming in the generics and classicals business. The ethicals business or the branded ethicals business takes some more time, because it requires a lot more effort to be put into displace other brands on the doctor's prescription list. So that's a slightly higher or a medium-term opportunity, which also requires higher investments. So, but we are working on both the opportunities. As I said, in the short to medium term, we'll see more growth in the generic classical, and in the medium to long term on the ethical business. But there are clearly opportunities in both the segments or both the categories.
Sure. That is helpful. And just one data keeping question. Rajesh, if I look at net working capital, it's slight increase on a year-on-year basis, half one versus half one of last year. Any one-offs here, or is it higher inventory?
No, it is primarily on account of some higher inventory due to building up stocks for the winter season. And also some bit of our receivables have gone up because of good institutional business and some bit of new launches. So some credit is there in the market on account of these two businesses.
Okay. Thank you, and wishing all of you a very happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Percy. Thank you all the participants for joining us in this meeting. Wishing you good health and a very happy and prosperous New Diwali to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of IIFL Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining with us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Thank you.